here's some information that I thought that would be interesting, especially to all of y'all individuals who've been watching Bridgerton, which is this new program they got on Netflix. And whether we really know it or not, some of the fiction was actually more reality than fiction. And that is the existence of black people, African people, in the royal court at a particular time. Now, this went on, traditionally, throughout the history of the monarchy. The problem was a lot of times when Africans were in particular positions of authority or renowned stature, they were never, publicized, and then a lot of times there were a lot of Africans that didn't want it to be recognized as black, depending on how light you was and how black you was. But this is a story about an individual who actually recognized their blackness, but also highlighted it and used it to their advantage. One of the important things about this personality is that she existed at a time where most of us would not have imagined in all of their highest dreams that a black person, in this case a woman, would have reached such a high stature. The person that I'm speaking about is a woman by the name of Queen Sophia Charlotte. And matter of fact, she's so bad that Charlotte, North Carolina is named after her. Most individuals don't even know that Charlotte, North Carolina is named after Queen Sophia Charlotte. Queen Sophia Charlotte was literally the wife of King George III, who happened to be the individual who was leading England at the time that this country literally got its independence. In other words, that was the individual that we fought against. Now think about that. Could you imagine that these individuals who set up this country based on slavery and racism was breaking away from an individual who happened to be a white monarch married to a black woman? You couldn't make it up. So when you look down in history in regard to some of these major personalities and their contribution to the world, you would never realize what their contributions were and who those individuals were. In this case, one of the major assets of Queen Charlotte that a lot of people, I was explaining to the camera person here, that Charlotte is known for gardening also. She was a great gardener. She loved, flowers and horticulture and the whole bit. And literally, she took, and the court of England at that time, she created what was called the Kew Gardens, which eventually is the gardens that are transformed here to the United States of America and used as a replica in all of municipal buildings throughout the country. And those gardens are in reference to the first gardens that, Queen Charlotte had set up. But just to give you a little insight, I want to read a little bit from this particular article that comes out of a particular paper called the Amandala. It was a paper, a local newspaper for Ghanaians. These are West African Ghanaians, and they put out a newspaper that circulates amongst their community here in northern New Jersey. And in this particular newspaper, in the history section, they had an article called England's First Black Queen, Sophia Charlotte. And I'm going to read you a paragraph or two. Let me get my glasses. It says that Princess Sophia Charlotte was born on the date in 1744. She was the first black queen of England. Charlotte was the 8th child of the Prince of Miro, Germany. Charles Louis Frederick and his wife Elizabeth Albertina of Saxe-Hildenbergenhausen. In 1752, when she was 8 years old, Sophia Charlotte's father died as Princess of Mecklenburg. Sterilized Sophia Charlotte was descended directly from an African branch of the Portuguese royal house. Margarita de Castro Souza. 6 different lines can be traced to her family. Princess Sophia Charlotte, Princess Sophia Charlotte, Margarita Castro, she married George III of England on September 8th, 1761, at the Chapel Royal in St. James's Palace, London, at the age of 17 years of age, becoming Queen of England and Ireland. Queen Sophia Charlotte. What's significant also about Charlotte was, why did you see this picture? I want to show you this picture here. It's a picture that they have. And if you go on the internet and you Google her name, and quite a few pictures will come up. But there was a controversy about the pictures. And the reason that was that in the beginning, King George had commissioned a portrait to be done of Queen Sophia Charlotte. But what had happened when the first painting was being done, the first portrait was being done, the artist, the painter, decided that he would lighten the hue of Queen Sophia's complexion. She was upset. She was really upset. And she went not only to her husband, but she went to the artist and said, "Why would you paint me like that? Why would you?" And she was disturbed about the portrait and told them that she would decommission him and get another painter to paint her the way she looks. So the artist was released, and they got in a new artist, and he literally sat down and talked with her and literally redid the painting, and it was more liking to her particular taste and to her particular image. So that's Queen Sophia Charlotte, again, wife of King George III. Remember, King George III was the guy who was ruling England at the time that this country, the United States of America, got its independence. In other words, they were breaking away from King George. And we didn't realize, us Africans who were slaves, who were put into slavery here in America, we didn't realize that at that time, the guy who was breaking away from, I'm talking about the United States of America, had a black wife, had an African wife. So that's one.
How could you deny the divine with all this proof? You and the creator, one mind, it's all in you. Go ahead, dissolve the spook. Go ahead, dissolve distortions. Go ahead, dissolve distortions, not leaving that eyelid open.